Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program today titled Evolutionary Health, Co-Creating Health and Longevity in the New World. I'm Nathan Crane, Director of the Health and Healing Club, and this Global Oneness program is with Master Shah and Dr. Rabbi Gabriel Cousins. And I just want to thank you all so much for joining us. The time we spend together today is certainly going to be inspiring, visionary, and I think transformative for all of us. Master Shah is a medical doctor in China, doctor of traditional Chinese medicine in China and Canada, grandmaster of many Asian arts, and spiritual master of many traditions and disciplines, which all came together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program today titled Evolutionary Health, Co-Creating Health and Longevity in the New World. I'm Nathan Crane, Director of the Health and Healing Club, and this Global Oneness program is with Master Shah and Dr. Rabbi Gabriel Cousins. And I just want to thank you all so much for joining us. The time we spend together today is certainly going to be inspiring, visionary, and I think transformative for all of us. Master Shah is a medical doctor in China, doctor of traditional Chinese medicine in China and Canada, grandmaster of many Asian arts, and spiritual master of many traditions and disciplines, which all came together as one when he learned YBZ Oneness writing, which inspired and enabled him to create the powerful healing art of Tao calligraphy. And he also teaches the healing modality Tao Healing Hands. His website is drshah.com. Master Shah, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my great honor. Thank you for invitation.
And Dr. Gabriel Cousins is the author of 7 internationally acclaimed books, including Spiritual Nutrition and Creating Peace by Being Peace. Known worldwide as a spiritual teacher and the leading expert in live plant-sourced nutrition, Dr. Cousins functions as a holistic physician, psychiatrist, family therapist, rabbi, and cutting-edge researcher on healing diabetes naturally. His website is drcousins.com. Dr. Cousins, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Well, Nathan, it's my joy to be part of this. And thank you for inviting me.
So during this program, both of our wisdom keepers here will guide us through spiritual practices and prayer and some experiential aspects to help us stay unified and balanced and deeply connected to the healing energy within us, help revitalize our own energy and health. And we will look at the future of health and healing and what it's going to take to create the world that we all want, this new world, this changing world. And we'll leave the program today with practical solutions for living a healthy, vital, happy, and long life. So please just do us a favor, take a moment, turn off any distractions around you, turn off your phone, your email, and spend this next 45 minutes or so with us to dive in deeply. I think you will get a lot out of this program. So with that said, to kick off the program for today, I'd like to invite Gabriel to lead us through a prayer. Would you do that, please?
Yeah, my joy. So the prayer is about merging the heavens and the earth and the heart and the mind, which is really a key to healing, an integrated heart-mind understanding. And in the end, it's about unity of all creation. Mishenikud kudashabrihu ushinate bi ilulaiha chemike bloke bi adashlam shem kozrea kolam. And just feel that integration.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Aho, thank you.
Aho.
So we're going to dive into my first question, which will be for both of you. Dr. Cousins, we'll just start with you, and then same question to you, Master Shah, is What are some of the core problems that you see of our current healthcare paradigm that are keeping people from healing and thriving? I'd like to lay a framework here so that everyone's on the same page about the challenges and problems we face, and then we can move into solutions, envisioning, and how to create greater health and healing and happiness for everybody tuning in. But yeah, let's start with some of the core problems.
For me, a absolutely core issue is modern medicine has taken God out of the equation. That's the first thing. When people are disconnected from their connection, is what happens next is they stop loving themselves enough to want to heal themselves so their own motivation for healing is compromised. This is something I actually learned when I was at Columbia Medical School, and I learned, of course, by accident, is I saw that the connection was missing. I was a third-year medical student, and this lady had been to 5 different hospitals. She had all kinds of difficulties, and nobody knew what was going on. So here I am, a third-year medical student, and I saw that she had never been listened to, and she had no real sense of self. And I began to work with her and see that really the core of it in her case was a very, very deep depression. Nobody even thought about that. Nobody even called for a psychiatrist. So here I am, this third-year medical student saying, wait, you've completely missed the diagnosis. You've completely missed what's going on. And this lady needs to get back in touch with herself and heal her very profound depression. And when they called the psych consult in, he totally agreed with me. Now, how did I know that? Well, honestly, it was intuition. How did I know it? Because it didn't make any sense. They couldn't figure out what's going on. And I listened to her, and this is really important. The healthcare has to listen to you. If they don't listen to you, you can't figure out what's going on. And people aren't just a mathematical solution to solve. They need to feel that connection to their soul as a primary part of the healing process. And then the motivation comes from that, loving themselves enough to want to heal themselves. So those are 2 interconnected but extremely important pieces that need to be in the healing. And I don't care how good the mathematics is, and I don't care how good the computer diagnosis is, that's not what it's about. So I would say those are like very key pieces.
Beautiful.
Now, I can go on, but I think I want Mr. Shaw to get a chance, and then I'll take it to the next level in a minute.
Everybody see this? Ancient wisdom, 3 words. Shen, qi,
Jing.
jing. What is a Shen? Shen is a 3 part. Soul, which also is a spirit. Heart, mind. Qi means energy, Jing means matter. Ancient wisdom, today our topic is oneness. So this is called Shen, Qi, Jing, universal law. What does it mean? As a human being, our body are adults, 70% are made by liquid. Modern medicine, Dr. Carson, we both study. Modern medicine focus on matter. The cells, you go to our family doctor, blood testing, liver, for kidney, for pancreas. Biochemical change at a cellular level, cell units. Traditional Chinese medicine and with thousands of healing modalities, they focus on qi. I study both traditional Chinese medicine, and herbs, acupuncture, Chinese massage, because the traditional Chinese medicine based on one sentence. If qi flows, blood follow. If qi is blocked, blood is stagnant. There's no such breast cancer. If qi is blocked, the cancer grows. And you sprain your ankle, qi blocked, then blood stagnant. TCM is here. Chinese Qigong, yoga, Reiki, so many healing modalities on here. Where's our psychology? Psychology on here, mind over matter. Means mind can make things happen. Positive thinking, mindfulness, positive words, millions of people meditation. They try to transform the consciousness. In ancient wisdom, is our beloved heart houses the soul, houses the mind. So heart is the boss of mind. In ancient wisdom, no such mind thinking. In modern medicine, we study mind, central nervous system, and spinal cord. Central nervous system directs all the system. But in ancient teaching, they said heart thinking. They never mentioned the mind. Heart houses the mind and the soul. But the ultimate boss for a human being is this, invisible for human being. People talk about body, mind, spirit. So spirit is the boss. Dr. Carson explained very well, is we lack of a connection. Question from our host is telling me, what is the problem? The problem for humanity is people have not realized what is the root cause of sickness. We study modern medicine, bacteria, virus, trauma, now COVID-19, and financial relationship, country leaders, all kind of issues. Where more than health, humanity, such chaos energy, where is the problem? The problem is here at this layer. It's soul and heart layer. So therefore, transform humanity heart and soul in one sentence. Heal and transform the heart and the soul first. Then all life transformation follows. What mean all life? Health. We have a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body. And we have a relationship, all kinds. We have a finance, business, all kinds. We have a spiritual journey, all kinds. All religions, all the system. I honor all. But Shen Qi Jing is one. We are here, Mother Earth. We are human beings. Here's heaven. Here's earth. Dr. Carson talked about the connection with heaven. But there's one more than heaven. Let me explain. Just give me 2 minutes more. So Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. You know, everybody, millions of people know Bible. Millions of people know Tao Te Ching. Wise man, the prime minister of German, call whole country German to study Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. In every university philosophy department, they honor Lao Tzu as an ancient philosopher. 129 Nobel Prize, and wrote the letter together. If our science does not study ancient wisdom, our science is difficult to move up. Let me explain to be the Lao Tzu wisdom. Lao Tzu said, before heaven and earth was formed, there's a Tao. What is Tao? Tao is the ultimate source. Tao is permanent. In the whole universe, Mother Earth is only one planet. There are countless planets, stars, galaxies, universes. We are living in the solar system, Milky Way universe. There's countless. But who create heaven and earth? We know heaven and earth are creator. Usually in spiritual journey, okay, I receive the nourishment and meditation, chanting, and the prayer, try to get the nourishment from heaven and earth. But who creates heaven and earth? Here. Lao Tzu said that Tao creates one. One and oneness. Oneness here. What the meaning oneness? Within oneness is blurred. They call 混沌. 混沌 is blurred. Blurred. We cannot see the nature of here. Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching said, source cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be touched. We have an interview. Everybody can see us. We can touch the blackboard. You can hear from me, from us. So this is the Lao Tzu said, here cannot be seen, touched, and heard. Then Tao create oneness. Within oneness, there are two energy, two qi, qi, shen qi, jing, qi. So one is called clean qi. One is called disturbed qi, a heavy qi. They stay for eons, million, billions years. They wait for qi hua. Qi means transformation. Hua means transformation. They wait for eons. Then what happened when the time coming? This is clean energy rises to form the heaven. This disturbed energy fall down to form the Mother Earth. So therefore, one creates two. Two is heaven. Heaven is yang. Mother Earth is yin. This is Mother Earth. So the two continue. Two will create three. This three is oneness. One is blood condition plus heaven, earth, then equals three. Three creates one wu. One means 10,000. 10,000 represent infinity in Chinese language. Wu means sense. Mother Earth is one planet. There are countless planets, stars, galaxies, universes. So therefore, this is Tao normal creation. Source create oneness field. Oneness field create heaven and earth. In modern science, Big Bang, boom, everything happened. So that is a Big Bang theory. This is ancient wisdom, how heaven and earth and countless planets, stars, galaxies, universe are formed. Then, okay, remember earlier I said Shen, soul, heart, mind, and Qi, energy, Jing, matter. Beloved Einstein, E equals mc squared. So Einstein talk about this. And when Dr. Ruli and I co-create Tao science, through the guidance from the universe, she's the physics. We call the grand unification. Now we write article, many articles already. So Shen plus Qi plus Jing equals one. This is a grand unification. We try to present it to many articles, scientific way. It's Shen Qi Jing equals one. So therefore, because it's not only for here, for the matter and energy, it's Einstein relativities. But now our way is plus this. S Shen plus Qi plus M equals one. That's oneness. So therefore, watch here. Human being, where's the human being? Human being is here. Our beloved human being is here. On this level, and one wu level, on this level, Ren is a human being. And Tian is heaven. Di is Mother Earth. And here's Tao. So therefore, Lao Tzu said there's a 4 layer. Human being, earth, heaven, Tao. Heaven and earth are the creator. We connect with heaven and earth. But the Tao is the ultimate creator. I do Tao calligraphy. I read art. I connect with the source. They put the light inside. People tracing, people connect. So many heart-touching results. Because the problem is humanity have not realized our blockage is at the heart and the mind level. But therefore, as negative information, it's called information, energy, matter. And it's connect with the source, heaven, and earth. In one sentence, bring positive information, energy, matter to remove negative information and matter for health, relationship, and finances. So the question answers people now, humanity have now realized the heart and the mind, the root blockages. Therefore, we talk about how do we transform. Next question, next answer. Thank you.
I want to say I really appreciate that. You sound like a Torah scholar, Western understanding. So in my latest book, Into the Nothing, I actually talk about this. And in the beginning was the Word. And from Word, which in a sense really is the Tao, okay, the nothing comes the something.
Yes.
And we say from one, this is, I love it. From one becomes two, becomes one. Okay.
Yes.
And the 13, the three becomes one. So even the numbers are the same. So ancient wisdom has a lot, let's say, a lot in common here. In fact, it's identical. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Carson. Yeah, you can see in the mathematics, everybody know like this. This is mathematics way. Then on more, this is a mathematical way. 2 become times n, many 2. Therefore, 1 creates 1, as Dr. Carson said. People understand, but 2 creates 3. The people say, no, Lao Tzu does not understand the mathematics. 2 must become 4 or 8 or 16. That's a mathematical way. But the people do not understand our beloved Lao Tzu. These 3 represent all until n. That's Lao Tzu wisdom. This is a changing number. So that is the wisdom people may not understand. Just now, because the time is limited, I'm not finished this. This is just 2 minutes more. Here, Tao creates 1, 2, 3, 1 Wu. It's called Tao normal creation. Dr. Carson wrote a book, wonderful. But another way is Tao reverse creation. Reverse, what does it mean for that? So 1 Wu, counted planet, stars, galaxies, universes, go back to 3, then go back 2, go back to 1, and then later reach Tao. So human beings are here. The spiritual journey is we purify, transform our field. The key is I emphasize field. Our beloved Einstein said, there's only one real thing. Only one real thing is the field. Field has a positive, has a negative. So whatever you're doing does not matter. Modern medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Chinese street culture, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, yoga, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, we honor all wrong. What we are doing, one sentence I emphasize again, is whatever the healing modality, you try to bring the positive from heaven, earth, from herbs, from remedies, from a Western way, you try to get a positive, you try to remove negative. That is one sentence secret to transform a life. How do we serve humanity? We make humanity aware for this, transform our heart, transform our soul, connect with the emptiness, to bring this emptiness field. Everybody can bring that, remove our blockages. That's the point.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's extraordinary that both of you representing really different lineages from around the world. And I know, Dr. Cousins, you have experience with Native Americans as well, and being a Native American elder, actually, as well as a rabbi and spiritual teacher, and how you both are coming from different traditions and basically saying the same thing. If I were to break down what both of you have said, is that, we are missing that spirit, that connection to spirit, to source, to heart. We're missing that in our healthcare today. And because of that is what is really one of, or if not the core root underlying problem that is leading to all of the health challenges and physical challenges, mental, emotional challenges that we're facing. And I think that's fascinating. and it's a testament to our ancient wisdom keepers that have held this wisdom for thousands of years and have passed it down and down and down. And now both of you are here to help convey that wisdom to the world, which I honor both of you for that and appreciate it. And so, Dr. Cousins, if you want to add anything, wonderful. I also have kind of a question that may help with that too, is, what changes are needed in our healthcare system today that can help evolve it for the better? What practical changes, like what could healthcare practitioners or people that are serving others who are challenged with their health, or individuals who are dealing with their own health challenges, what are some practical things they can actually do to evolve?
To duality, we get to the source of really all healing. I call it the six. Brings one back into the nothing and progressing into the something. Now, we talk about, Shin and Qi and Jing, King.
Yeah,
Eastern, Western pronunciation. But the three are the three jewels, right? And in the Torah, now one of the problems is they call it the breaking of the vessels, that initially we couldn't hold the energy. Humanity could not hold the energy. And so the vessels broke through which the energy was flowing. In yoga, we talk about the 72,000 nadis, and we have meridians, we have a variety of systems, but it's the flow of energy, okay? So before Kundalini, before the different spiritual energies, there is a primordial energy. And that's, in a sense, you could tap into it when you experience the primordial sound of creation. And you can actually hear it when you go deep enough into the nothing. It's a primordial sound. So from that primordial sound comes, in the beginning was the word, comes all of creation. Now, there's a lifestyle, which is the way I've approached it, that isn't symptom function focused. The lifestyle is about being aligned with the expression of that primordial sound. That's key. Now, at Mount Sinai, again, ancient wisdom, 3,200, 3,300 years ago, there was the sound of the shofar playing, which is an ancient ram's horn. It instead of coming down, it got louder and louder. And at that point, there was an upgrade from the sound, because sound can actually alter your DNA. There was an upgrade of the DNA, okay, so that people reached a new evolutionary state. And so you have this Mount Sinai, and you have the flames, the fire of God, but the sound, the primordial sound of the divine, is kind of where it's all coming from. That's literally upgrading humanity's DNA. So that's a huge statement. So the medicine I use is a lifestyle. So the 6 foundations is initially a diet that emphasizes becoming a superconductor of the divine. And when you adjust the diet right, it's a 100% vegan, and in my case, 100% live food as well, or 95% live food diet, but 100% vegan, 80% live food. And it creates a flow of energy. So in the early 70s, I was put in a position of working with many people who had Kundalini awakening, more in the yogic system. And what I saw is that if the energy was too much for people, their vessels would break, they would eat meat to be a sludge to the Kundalini. Literally. It's like meat, fish, chicken, dairy were a sludge. They block the channels, they block what we call the nadis. And the tree of life, which is a more Torah traditional way of talking about the three columns, Ida, Pingala, Shushumna, yin yang, but the center point of that, all the same idea. So the first thing is we want to eat so there's an optimal flow of energy. Second is what I'm going to call sacred dance. I'm also going to call different yoga, breathing exercises, where you're increasing what we call in yoga prana. And as the prana increases, the body begins to reorganize to a higher frequency. That's really important. Now, this is a way of life I followed when I was, and it works, when I was captain of an undefeated college football team, whatever that means for people, I could do 70 push-ups. Now at the age of 78, the last 3 weeks, I've been doing 1,800 push-ups. How did that happen? How is it that I couldn't touch my toes now and I can now sit in full lotus? How did that happen?
1,300 push-ups per day? Is that what you're doing?
1,800 at one time.
1,800 at one time. Wow.
One time.
That's
okay.
That's
but here's the point. This is a lifestyle that makes you stronger and more flexible and gives you more endurance with chronological age. That's the point. So I'm building the jing, what we call postnatal jing. Obviously, I had to be given some jing to get started, okay? And building the chi, and the shin is the spirit coming from this. Okay, so that's the second. The third is service. Why service? Because when you work with other people, your heart expands.
Right.
That's really important. So I have programs in 13 different, 26 different countries, and 100 different programs all over the world. It's the service. There's a human connection there. It's very, very profound. Fourth foundation is, if you're ready, not everybody's ready, okay? But if you're ready, is to work with a spiritual teacher who can kind of guide you and take you through places that you don't necessarily do on your own. So there's some humility in this process. And the fifth is meditating and chanting the name of God. Because when you meditate, you go back into the nothing. You have that opportunity. It isn't just about a quiet mind. It's going beyond the mind, dissolving, where you literally disappear. So in the Torah teachings, it says you can't know God and live. That's absolutely true. It's not scary. It's called into nothing. You disappear. There's no you. And so you deepen your connection with the primal source, which we may call Tao, or in our tradition, Hashem, or God. It's the Word, the primordial sun, which comes before the primordial light. It's kind of subtly there, but it's important to get that. Now, what I add to it with the 7 foundations is, of course, we have the food, we have the meditation, but we also have sacred relationship. In sacred relationship, you can call it more sophisticated tantra, because it's not about sex, it's about the two becoming one again. We play it out, the two becoming one. And then relationship with the community is about unity with the overall community, the oneness of all people, the oneness with that. And then comes the relationship with all cultures. That's what, so for me, I was a Native American, as a Native American sun dancer and eagle dancer, and as a yogi that lived in India for 7 years, and as a person spends his life studying Torah, it's they all come together. So they're cultures, but we don't just stop there. From the Native American way, we talk about the rock people, the living planet, we talk about the plant people, we talk about the flying, swimming ones, and we also talk about the talking ones. And what I mean, sentences in history, because the animals talk too. Okay. So that's all the cultures. And then one with the living planet. So my view of ecology isn't like there's me and a living planet. I am the living planet.
Yeah.
And it's a view of, as I take care of myself, the living planet's my body. Now that's a lifestyle that's always going to keep you conscious environmentally. You can't help it. If you understand the living planet as an extension of your body, it's like, whoa, that's different than you're trying to help the planet. No, we are the planet. And finally, one with God. So the 6 foundations, 7-fold peace, 13, what is that? The 3 and the 1, which becomes the oneness and becomes love. So it all kind of comes together. So this is like a way of life that builds in the Chinese, you know, the Jing and the Qi, and you know, obviously the Shin. So you're shining. So that's really the future of medicine. Guess what? It's also the past. And once we get that, everything makes sense, because all we're doing is reestablishing these principles as that our way of life is what we're really talking about, that makes everything work and balances all those, you know, the 3 jewels and the, you know, overall integration. And so that's kind of an overview of where medicine is going, but actually where it came from. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, that really, I think, takes a lot of what both of you have been talking about and brings it to a very practical way of looking at living, you know, a healthy, vital, spiritually connected, happy, fulfilled human being, living in oneness with community, with each other, with people, with plants, the animals, and the planet. So I love it. And Master Shah, I want to give you a chance.
So I just want the last sentence is, it's a way of life that leads to liberation at every level, because we're multi-dimensional beings. We're not single dimension, multi-dimensional.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay.
And Master Shah, I want to give you a chance to respond here in just a moment, and then afterwards, as Gabriel opened up with a prayer, which was a beautiful way to start, I'd love to invite you to close us with any kind of energy practice, a meditation, a visioning, anything you'd like to guide us through, if you'd be willing to do that.
It's my great honor. First of all, thank you, Dr. Carson. Very impressive. Your principles, your foundation, your strategies, great. From the, you know, food, exercise, you are so amazing. You can do more than 1,000 times a day. Really impressive, and a great example for everybody to really study your great wisdom. How? Let me share the practical way in our traditions. I wrote the book. The book is called Tao Calligraphy. Tao Calligraphy Healing Field. I want everybody to know, I really want to emphasize these words. These words are called field, because everything is the field. Everybody think about, we are in front of ocean. Oh, energy feels so good, energy field. Then everybody see our show now, electromagnetic field and the temperature. You go to the mountain. Why people want to go to the ocean, go to the forest? Fresh air, and it's called negative ion, we call whatever name they call scientific we are. It's people need to breathe the fresh oxygen, breathe out the carbon dioxide, and many toxins come out. So basically pay attention to this. So remember here, we just go back because the time is limited. It's this little discussion here. That's why let me go through here, everybody. I try to get it more essence. 身神气静 thank you and heart and mind. Thank you for Dr. Carson also mentioned this energy and matter. So there's the key issue for everybody to know. There are two sources: positive information, so positive. Then they give to heart is receiver. Here's receiver. Here's a processor. Heart, oh, wonderful, I like it. Then, okay, mind process. Then energy mover. Energy is mover. This is transformer. So transformer. So therefore, for example, I received the sound. Just now, Dr. Carson talked about the sound. I have 6 techniques in this book, Dr. Healing Field. Number 1 is body power. Body power is how to use our hand to do healing. I wrote the book, Soul, Mind, Body Medicine. I want everybody to know 10 years ago in India, there's a 1,000 people local event. A major TV station did a live broadcasting for whole India. There's an MD standing on the stage. He was so fascinating. He said, what the Master Sha wrote in Soul, Mind, Body Medicine, Master Sha teaches say hello healing technique. I have a client, psoriasis. Everyone know how, she said, this lady just raw skin, dry skin, fall down, whole body inflamed. He shared with this lady. So the Master Sha in Soul, Mind, Body Medicine said, say hello, dear soul, mind, body of my skin. You know, just what Dr. Carson said, the connection. Connection with heaven, earth. This is connection with your own soul. How many people think a cell has a soul? They do not think that. Skin is the body. Who think about? Every cell has a soul. 神气定 universal law. From the body, cell, DNA, RNA, quark, dark matter, dark energy, everything universal law. So this lady, dear soul, mind, body of my skin, I love you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job, thank you. What she did is talking with the body. Dear soul, mind, body of my skin, I love you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job, thank you. This lady have they believe Shiva, they chanting, but they do not talk with the body. Just by this, there's many techniques. Just by say hello technique, I call soul technique, soul power. Say hello. You say hello to the heaven, earth, dot. This lady just did it for body. 2 days, inflamed, gone. 7 days, 7 years, psoriasis disappear just by say hello technique. The doctor said, wow, I never see that. I went to Amazon.com. I just all the Master Sha, all the book. I'm thirsty to learn what the Master Sha shares in ancient wisdom. He said the second case, a uterus is like this. Dear soul, mind, body of my uterus, I love you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job, thank you. In 3 weeks, this kind of tumor, big ball, disappear. He said, Master Sha's self-healing, I could not believe. These 2 cases. I said, MD, he said, I am making a vow. I want people to know Master Sha service. Recently, David Merta, and you know, now is very popular man in business, and he had many TV shows at many places. He interviewed me. He said, he said, Master Sha wrote one calligraphy because calligraphy carried a message. Here. He said, Master Sha wrote the calligraphy, and I just connect. I can every day at 10 minutes tracing. Tracing a calligraphy. For example, everybody, let me write one for you. Da means greatest. I means love. This is normal writing. So the calligraphy is oneness writing. Just now earlier, watch here. So when I wrote the calligraphy, I connect with the source. They put in at the end, I will do just about a very short time. I will do a blessing. I have a calligraphy beside me. I want to finish it just in very short time because I know time is limited. Here, I want to see. So therefore, the second technique, say hello. I give a little story. I have so many heart-touching results. Number 3 is body power. Body power. How to use the hand. Sound power. Mind power. Visualize the golden light. Heaven, earth, source. Number 4, sound power. Also, just know, and one of the Dr. Carson shared. Number sound power, then breathing power. Number 6, Tao calligraphy power. So the Tao calligraphy carry the frequency vibration, positive information, energy matter. It's Shen Qi Jing. Therefore, now I do in the service every Saturday, I do Tao calligraphy light massage. Everybody know massage therapies, we all have experience. Now, just by 2 months' time, I have 3,000 people, more than 40 countries lie down on the bed. I'm going to do last 2 minutes today, do a light massage. From this field, the invisible light, how simple the wisdom. Everybody watch here. So I move a little bit. See, when you have a back pain, shoulder pain, tumor, cancer, see my place. You have a dark inside, blockage, Shen Qi Jing blockages. Then Tao calligraphy invisible light, just like a light bulb, watch, boom, just like a second. Therefore, everybody can go to Facebook, drsha.com. You cannot believe people have 30 years abdominal pain, 52 years hips pain, sleep disc, anger for 40 years, chest pain for 30 years, cancer recovery. I do feel the healing. It's a mess, 1 to 1,000. Okay, I think if you're ready, I will do 2 minutes, feel the healing for all the listeners as a closing. If you feel that's right, time is ready. And also my book, I've read 25 books. Just remember Tao calligraphy healing field. At the end, I want to experience about the 2 minutes. I will show you the field. Then I will sing a little Tao song. You know, I received the song, Liang. I want everybody to see this first. Liang, love, peace, harmony first. Which is 1 minute. Everybody see, I receive a heaven song. Everybody can sing. Go to lovepeaceharmony.org. It's the charitable foundation. People can download this song. Remember I said that transform the heart and soul first. Everything follows. Watch this 1 minute. Then I do a calligraphy wall. I give 2 minutes more or less blessing for everybody. Service. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, everybody see Love, Peace, Harmony song. I love my heart and soul. Focus universal light, God the light, source light to the heart. Pour it out. Golden light shines. All the sickness disappears. This ancient sacred wisdom. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony. 好了，亮可以了。好 that's a little bit admission. So I am create app now. Everybody is pay attention. My app. I put a 30 app for depression, anxiety, cancer, pain. People just visualize with admission. Visualize light, pour. There are some people in a few minutes, they are changing. So, and if can and whatever time you're ready, I can do a calligraphy blessing at the end. If you tell me it's ready.
Yes, please. Yeah, we'd love to. Thank you.
好，亮 put it here， 亮。好 everybody see this is a wall. It's a calligraphy light wall. Give me 2 minutes. Everybody put 1 palm on the navel. Please do that. 1 palm left or right, put on the navel. Why? Navel is a sacred part, connects to ancestors, connect with heaven also. And also the other palm, if you have depression, anxiety, heart issues, neck issues, breast cancer, stomach issue, hips. Another palm, knee pain. Where you need a healing, you put the hands there. Put the tongue to roof of the mouth. Of course, everybody know the basic requirement. Then gentle close eyes. Put your mind in that area. I will initiate this wall. Remove. This is like a spiritual portal, field to the divine, to the heaven, earth, and the divine source. If I say start, this meaning you can feel the energy. How everybody prepare, total relax, and not start yet. From head to toe, this is my downlight massage every Saturday. Thousands of people. I do feel the healing. Relax your head, golden light come down from your head, your eyes, nose, brain, ear, go down to your throat, golden light, go down to your chest, bronchial tube, lungs, heart, diaphragm, golden light flows down to the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and spleen. Then go to below the navel, small intestine, large intestine, kidney, urinary bladder for reproductive organs and for all the system organs. Then go to your both side, knee, go to your ankle, go to your feet. How Tao calligraphy, source field, turn on now. Liang music. Everybody just feel, like I said, just relax. Liang music, and 声音大一点, the music, I just do 30 seconds because we have such a limited time. 30 seconds silent. Feel this field, the portal. If your spiritual eye open, you could see Buddha, saints, divine, star, galaxy, all see nothing. That's okay. Feel nothing, it's okay also. It's just the field, positive field. Also in Dr. Carson call, we call emptiness. He has his book, a powerful book. So therefore, this is the source, the same source. The field coming, 30 seconds silent, start. Just focusing in one area. Just think about, visualize light there. I am going to sing about 1.5 minutes. I sing a Tao song. I have written a book called Tao Song, Tao Dance. Dr. Carson remember also dancing, movement. Everybody see my Tao. It's not Chinese, not English. It's the source of sound. I connect with source. I flow out. My channel open. This sound. 亮音乐低一点. This sound, source sound called Tao sound, carry the frequency, vibration. And also calligraphy, invisible silent. Calligraphy is silent, source is silence. Then the human, we have a sound. So this is I'm putting this word, Wu word, and the human word, you word, join as one. Oneness, today a oneness discussion. How I start to sing. Relax, everybody think that one area. Tao calligraphy, light coming, and my soul sound frequency coming. Listen to this. Tao calligraphy, source field, carries source love and light, frequency and vibration, positive information, energy, matter, comes to one area, units transformation, to remove negative information, energy, matter, to heal and transform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I think it's a good place to close our session today, unless Gabriel, you had any final thoughts you'd like to close with?
Well, I thought it was beautiful. I was actually hearing Hebrew sounds because the prime name, Yod and the Hey and Wah and Hey. And I also, it's like, wow, okay, that's the primal name in different ways that activates all the levels of our being, the 5 levels of our being. So I'm fascinated that this in the Taoist tradition that those sounds are there. There's also some Native American sounds as well. So that was fascinating to me. So that is really the best way to end up is our return to God in a variety of ways of how we speak about it. The Tao, or that which exists prior to consciousness, as it is in Genesis, prior to creation, may always be blessed to connect with that primal energy, and that way create healing for ourselves on every level of our soul. There's 5 levels of the soul, all 5 levels. Aho, amen.
Can I say a few words? Thank you, Dr. Carson. I deeply appreciate your wisdom and your sharing. So many people follow you. You have served so many people. You emphasize service. The purpose of life is to serve. I have committed my life is a purpose. To serve is to make others happier and healthier. To serve is empower and enlighten others. To serve is to bring love, peace, harmony for humanity, Mother Earth, and countless planets, stars, galaxies, universes. Last one is greatest, 大圆满, great enlightenment. We have a physical body, we have a soul. Physical body is to serve soul. Physical body limited, 100 years is so special already, but we want to serve our soul. Finally, our soul can reach the ultimate source. Like a Tao rewards creation, our soul return to the source. That is the final purpose. But now let us join the heart and soul together. Oneness, human being, earth, heaven, Tao, one. 人, 地, 天, Tao are one. Countless planets, stars, galaxies are one. I love my heart and soul. I love all humanity. Join the heart and souls together. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony. Thank you for the interview. Thank you to all of you. I'm very honored to serve.
Master Shah, thank you for your great teachings of the eternal wisdoms.
Yes, thank you both so much. This has been truly, truly a blessing. You know, just in this one conversation alone, we've pulled wisdom from ancient native traditions, Taoism, ancient traditional Chinese medicine, the Torah, you know, on and on from the Bible. I mean, and if you want to talk about a great experience and an example of true oneness, right? Oneness. This has been it right here. Is looking at. There's no fighting. There's no conflict. There's no I'm right and you're wrong and I'm right. Like we see so much in the various religious traditions today, and even in healthcare today, where naturopaths are fighting against conventional doctors and so forth. This was a great display of true unity, true oneness. And I love how both of you have deeply framed the challenges and missing links and problems with our current healthcare paradigm today, and have brought in the deeper essence of the need for spiritual wisdom and connection and oneness and connection to heart and to spirit. I think that is truly the future of healthcare. And if we were living this way as a society, we would not see any, if at all, or very few of the problems we see today with chronic diseases and disconnection and depression. All those things would, be reversed and healed and even prevented because of this way of living. So I want to thank you both so much. I want to encourage people to go pick up both of these great masters' books today. DrShah.com. You can connect by his book there. It's DrShah.com and learn more about his programs and offerings. And Dr. Cousens, that's DrCousens, drcousens.com, where you can get his latest book and also learn about all of his many wonderful programs and retreats and services around the world. So I want to say thank you to both of you so much for sharing these decades of wisdom, love, and experience with all of us. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in here with us during this event at a time when we really need more authentic connection, radical healing, and expanded awareness. We need it more now than ever. One thing is for sure, the more we practice these things, the more we educate ourselves, the more we focus on creating true health, holistic health, the more resilience we will create, and the easier it becomes to live meaningful, healthy, and fulfilling lives. You know, it takes each one of us individually to truly commit to the betterment of ourselves and our lives and to the lives of others through our own daily practices for true personal and global change to occur. That ripple effect that we speak about is absolutely real. The field that Master Shah spoke about and that Dr. Cousins had even spoken about in his own way, that is the ripple effect, that is the field, that is the energy source that connects all of us. And when we connect to that and contribute to that, we make a greater difference for the impact, the radical transformation of people's health and well-being in the planet everywhere. So I want to congratulate and thank all of you, everyone here with us that stayed for this entire program. And I want to thank all of you who are committed to this greater awakening for humankind. I wish you all ultimate health and healing and awakening. And thank you so much.
Hello and welcome to Global Oneness Day 2021. What if we were able to tap into a higher consciousness of the celestial realm and learn how to improve our lives and make the world a better place? Well, I'm happy to tell you that we can. And we have with us today 3 amazing panelists, as well as myself, who can do that. My name is Karen Noe, and I'm a psychic medium and author of Your Life After Their Death and We Consciousness. I've been channeling angels and deceased loved ones for many years. And right after Dr. Wayne Dyer passed, he started coming through to me with very specific messages for his family. He also came through as a group consciousness called the We Guides, talking basically about the We Consciousness, which is the interconnectivity of everyone and everything, and whatever one does to oneself or another, how it affects the whole. Our panel today is called Channeling a Higher Consciousness. I'm ready to begin. How about you? Okay. Our first panelist is Peggy Black. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you.
Peggy is a transducer, scribe, and witness, an author and lecturer with over 45 years of experience in the healing field. Peggy is a multidimensional channel whose gifts as an intuitive allow her to assist individuals to live empowered, abundant lives. Peggy receives transmissions from her celestial team, which she calls the morning messages. These messages invite others to honor their multidimensional self. You can visit her on her website at www.morningmessages.com. Thank you for joining us, Peggy.
Thank you for the invitation.
Our next panelist is Patricia Cota Robles. Welcome, Patricia.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm so glad you could come. Patricia is an internationally known teacher and co-founder and president of the nonprofit educational organization, Era of Peace. Patricia was a marriage and family counselor for 20 years. She now spends her time sharing the vitally important information she's receiving from the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth. This information from on high is distributed for free through Patricia's website at www.eraofpeace.org. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Our next panelist is Garnet Schulhauser. Welcome, Garnet.
Hi, Karen, how are you?
Very good. Garnet is a lawyer who practiced corporate law for over 30 years in Calgary until he retired in 2008. Since then, he's published 4 books in the spiritual metaphysical genre, and his 5th book, Dancing with the Angels in Heaven, is now in the process of being published. These books recount his dialogue and astral travels with his spirit guide, Albert, who confronted him on the street one day disguised as a homeless man. He answers the internal questions of life as he reveals the truth about our existence as eternal souls, the role of karma, the splendor of the afterlife that awaits us all, and the diversity of life in our vast universe. For information about Garnet, please visit his website at www.garnetschulhauser.com. Thank you for joining us, Garnet.
Thank you for having me.
So since we have you on the screen right now, let's begin with you, Garnet. Can you tell us briefly how and when your channeling began?
Yes, it began in 2007, and I was still practicing law then, Karen. And I was a corporate lawyer, typical stuffed shirt, button-down corporate lawyer. And I was walking down the street one sunny afternoon when a homeless man jumped down in front of me. And he looked like a typical homeless man, but I didn't go around him because he had these amazing, dazzling, sparkling blue eyes. And as I stood there looking at him, he was sending me this gush of pure, unconditional love that infused my whole body with an amazing sense of peace and security and well-being. So anyway, I stood there for a while like a deer caught in the headlights, and then he said, "Why are you here?" And he disappeared into a nearby store. Well, I went into the store to try to find him. He wasn't there. I walked back on the street, up and down for several blocks, but he had disappeared in the thin air. Next day, I went back to the same street to try to find him. I eventually spotted him sitting all alone on a bench, and I walked up to him and I said, "Who are you, and why did you stop me the other day?" He said, "I'm a soul just like you. I'm here to answer your questions and help you on your journey." So I sat down on the bench and began a dialogue with him. He told me that he was really one of my spirit guides, Albert. He'd come in disguise to confront me. So we had this dialogue that went off and on for several months, and then most of it was through telepathy. And then eventually he came back in my life and took me on some astral trips to various places, the spirit side, other places on planet Earth, other places in the universe. And his mission was to have me spread his message, his revelations in my books so that everyone would have access to them. And so that's how I began channeling Albert.
Amazing. Thank you. How about you, Patricia? How did you begin?
Well, I began, I think, like everybody else, as a personal quest. From the time I was really little, I always wondered why in the world there was so much pain and suffering in the world, and had this inner knowing that that is not the way life is supposed to be, which took me on a search through the gamut of world religions and psychology and everything I could get my hands on to try to find answers. And not finding any satisfying answers, I was guided in my meditations to go within and to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven within, which we've all heard those words, but I never really grasped the magnitude of what that meant. And as I began doing that, I began opening to this open heart and mind telepathic communication with the realms of illumined truth and all the beings of light that are standing in readiness, awaiting to guide and help us. And the most profound thing I realized is that what I was experiencing was not unique, that I was not special, that I didn't have any supernatural gifts of any kind, but that we were all supposed to be able to have that conscious, tangible guidance from the realms of illumined truth. So I've been sharing this information that I've been receiving for a little over 50 years now. And the information that is being given to us now is revealing the cosmic moment and the need of the hour and the unprecedented experience that the earth is going through at this time. And the fact that each and every one of us, an embodiment, is here because we've been prepared for lifetimes to assist this planet and all her life into the higher levels of consciousness and oneness, which of course is the whole basis for humanity's team and Global Oneness Day. So I'm honored and privileged to be able to participate in this event.
That's beautiful. And how can we assist in raising the consciousness of the planet?
The way we assist is through our conscious decisions to recognize that what true oneness means and the magnitude of what that means. You know, we hear those words, we are one and we are one with all life. And that sounds real loving and wonderful. But the reality is, what that means on a tangible level is that with every thought, word, action, or feeling we express, we're sending forth an electromagnetic current of energy that's vibrating with the frequency of whatever our frame of mind is at the time. And that energy blends and unifies, seeks out other energy vibrating at the same frequency. So with every moment, we are either adding to the light of the world or to the shadows, depending on what we're expressing. So it's preparing us and knowing that we are making conscious decisions with every breath we take to either raise the consciousness or to expand the chaos and confusion in the outer world.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Peggy, how did you begin?
Thank you for allowing me to be on this panel. The first thing that comes to mind was when I was a very small girl, I asked my mother, what do I do when I hear someone call my name in my head? And she said, answer them. And so from the time I was small, I always had this connection. It wasn't until I was in my 50s that I finally, so to speak, allowed it to come more forward. And it came forward, the first channeling I started doing was with sound. And I used to do body work and energy work, and I was always getting guidance as to what my clients needed or what they were holding on to or how to clear that. So the guidance I was receiving was internal and more silent and more for me. And then I started channeling sound, and I did these amazing sounds. And for a decade, I traveled all over the world on sound waves, is what I called it, because I was given wonderful, all expense paid trips to do sounds in Egypt and Ireland. And then after a decade, the team that I worked with that was coming through as sound wanted me to be their transducer and take their energy and translate them into words. And that's how the morning messages came about.
Okay.
And I've been doing most of this work about 3 decades now. And like Patricia, the team speaks about oneness and who we are, and that we're making a difference with our every thought, our every word, how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to another, how we process our emotions, clear them. I do a process that the team invited me to do years ago called, I call it news homework. And every day I read the newspapers. And then when I'm finished reading the headlines, I just simply put my hands on it and I say, I call upon divine beings to minister and uplift and heal every situation that these headlines represent. And so we're meant to be in partnership with the non-physical beings. We're meant to be the inviter and be the one that calls them in to support us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Now, Garnet, what do you think is the most important message for humanity that you received from Albert?
The most important message for humanity is for everyone to realize exactly who we are, and that we're eternal souls, and we came here to learn and experience things so we could grow and evolve as souls. And that when our physical bodies pass away, we go back to the spirit side. And so humans have to understand that we are all closely connected to the source, to the creator, and we're connected to each other. And once humanity understands that we're all closely aligned, even though we suffer from illusions of separation, we're all very much all part of the source. And so if humans could realize that when they see a person walking down the street, that person seems separate, but actually we're all connected. And if we realize that, then we won't judge other people based upon the clothes they wear, the language they speak, the God they worship, or the color of their skin. And once we can sort of get over this this illusion of separation, then we will begin to start loving one another, showing one another more love and compassion, and that then will make our planet a much happier place. And to know that the other important factor is to know that it doesn't matter. We can try our best to be good here on this planet. Even if we stray off course, we're all going to end up back on the spirit side, where we could once again decide, do I want to incarnate on this planet again, or stay in the spirit side, or incarnate somewhere else? And that projection of love that Albert wants us to feel for all other humans extends to animals as well, because animals all have their rightful place in the universe, and we should treat them with dignity and respect, just as we should treat our good planet Mother Earth with dignity and respect, and stop polluting Mother Earth, start respecting other animals, and of course respect and love other people. And then if we can do that, we can get rid of a lot of the bad things on our planet, the wars, the conflicts, the genocide, terrorist acts, and so on. That's the goal that we have to strive towards. And what Albert wanted me to do was to publish his revelations in my book, so that other people who aren't spiritually enlightened can sort of read this and maybe glom onto it and take the first tentative steps up the spiritual ladder. And if we can get everyone to do that, we'll have a much better planet to live in.
Beautiful. And your book is coming out shortly. Is it out yet?
The ebook is out. The printed version won't be out until sometime in September, I think, but the ebook is available.
And it's called again? What is it called?
It's called Dancing with Angels in Heaven.
Beautiful. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you. And Patricia, what do you think is the most important message for humanity? I think you may have covered it before, but right now it's a little bit different with the pandemic. And what is going on? What do you think is going on with this? What's the message there?
Well, I very much agree with what Garnet has said, and we are not worthless sinners and worms in the dust. And what we need to really recognize is we become who we believe we are. And so since we've fallen into this fear-based and fragmented consciousness of duality and separation, there's a lot of that us against them consciousness and what we're experiencing now in the outer world. The light is increasing on the planet, and so everything that conflicts with that light is being pushed to the surface. So when we turn on the news and watch what's happening in the outer world, it actually is the antithesis of what we're moving toward. And what Garth mentioned about we've had myriad lives on this planet, and between embodiments, I think this is such a hard thing for people to grasp and realize, but it's so critical in this moment and this environment, is that when we are between embodiments, volunteering to come into the physical plane, one thing that's happened at this time is that everyone, whether they are consciously aware of it yet or not, that has volunteered to embody, has volunteered to participate in this consciousness of an evolutionary shift and raising of consciousness back into oneness that's going on at this time. But the thing that would stop so much of this challenge in the outer world is the knowing of the reality that when we choose to come back into embodiment, we choose to come into the learning experience where we can grow the most, learn the most, and transmute our misqualified energy and learn new lessons and create new patterns of perfection. So we literally have volunteered to come into every race, every culture, every religion, every lifestyle, every socioeconomic situation around the world. We've all been everything because we learn very different things in those outer world, third dimensional experiences. And so if we could just recognize that, then we would be able to truly understand that the concept of white supremacy or anti-religion, of my religion versus your religion, or all of that is ludicrous and is actually totally counterproductive to what we're here in this physical plane to learn, and how we're learning to move forward into that oneness for humanity.
So beautiful. Thank you. And so true. And Peggy, what do you think is the most important message for humanity right now?
Recognizing who we are as divine multidimensional beings. That's a key. When individuals recognize their divineness, then they begin to respond differently to their neighbors, to their culture, to other cultures. And so when we recognize who we are as a divine being, we recognize we have access to the celestial realms. We have access to the guides, the angels, the masters. We are not helpless, and we're here to transform energy. And we transform energy by experiencing it, feeling the pain, and shifting. Using sound is a good tool to clear your anger, your resentment, your impatience, the things that we all deal with in this physical reality, is to begin to be aware that we transform it. We're meant to transform it. And as we transform it for ourselves, we transform it for the collective. So we're always connected to the collective. And as we transform our woundedness, our prejudice, our hatred, and lift it up, then we're also making that available to the collective as a pattern, a template, and also just affecting the energy in the entire collective.
Beautiful. I think we said the same thing in different ways, but we all did. And Patricia, you're so right. We can all do this. We can all tap into the celestial realm, and we can all receive messages from the angels and guides and so forth. We just have to be more on par with the energy of who they are, who we really are, which is love, right? And practice forgiveness, compassion, and do everything that we can do to uplift, to become who we really are, right?
Yes, that's absolutely true. And this, at this moment, you know, one of the things that beings of light have shared so tangibly for me in my life is the reality that we are powerful beyond our knowing, and that we all hear about being one with all life. But the whole idea of our God self, the divinity within us, which the beings of light have said that is truly our I am presence, that part of us that is literally created in the image of the all-encompassing presence of the cosmic I am, all that is. And our I am presence is one with that presence. And every other person on the planet also has an I am presence, no matter how far their behavior patterns may be from reflecting that profound essence of their being. And when we say, I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity, the beings of light have showed and demonstrated to me that when we say that, our I am presence sends a ray of light instantaneously, an alert actually, into the heart flame of every other person's I am presence. And that person's I am presence then knows and stands in readiness to receive the light that we are invoking on the behalf of every other person on the planet. Now, we can't manipulate and control people through that. But for instance, if we are invoking healing and we draw that healing through us, and which makes it available then also through the I am presence of every other person, that person's I am presence knows exactly what their learning experience is, what this healing light, how it can be used most effectively in perfect alignment with their divine plan, and takes that light that we are invoking on their behalf and utilizes it in alignment with their divine plan and their highest good. So when we say, I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity, as we are doing our invocations, our prayers, our meditations, we instantaneously become from the microcosm of our individualized self to the macrocosm of the collective body of humanity. And that includes every man, woman, and child belonging to or serving the earth at this time, whether he or she is in or out of embodiment. And so we literally have the ability to invoke unfathomable amounts of light into the planet to assist with this purging process of the negativity being pushed to the surface, to help transmute it. And the violet flame, which is the perfect balance of the sapphire blue radiance of the masculine polarity of our Father God, and the crystalline pink radiance of the divine love nature of our Mother God. That violet flame is the most powerful frequency of light, reflecting mercy, compassion, forgiveness, transmutation, to cleanse, purify, and transmute back into light humanity's human miscreations and our negative thought forms and patterns.
Beautiful. Does anybody want to add to that? Perfectly said.
As we begin to recognize who we are in our oneness, and we transform issues that we're dealing with personally, we truly are transforming for the collective. So every piece of information we do, when we're kind to another, when we're considerate for another, when we clear our own personal anger or upset, we're adding and clearing for the collective, because we're all one. It's all happening at the same time. So when we recognize we're doing masterful work as a divine being in a physical body, we're here to transform the negative, the misqualified energy that each one of us is experiencing. We came here to transform that. And the nice thing about this is we're not doing this alone. And the team invites everyone to recognize we're really meant to connect with the non-physical realms, to invite that presence, the masters, the angels, to support us in the work we're doing in this evolution of consciousness. So everything that we do as an individual is adding to the healing of our planet, the healing of consciousness.
Absolutely. Garnet, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. I mean, I think that what Albert has always emphasized to me is that we all came here with a purpose, and our purpose is to be beacons of light, to spread love and compassion for fellow men, and as I mentioned, animals and our planet, and we do so by example, by talking on panels like this, by writing books, and the whole idea is to get the message out to those people who are not spiritually enlightened. And there's too many people on our planet who just aren't, who don't recognize what they should be doing or what the goal is. And so that often leads to people having a lot of negative emotions, like fear and all the spin-offs, like fear, anger, or hate, and so on. That causes so much of the problems on our planet. And so what we need to do is to try to get people to understand that what we need to do is fully embrace love and compassion, and that will raise our vibrations and hopefully raise their vibrations. And eventually we hope that one day we can ascend to 5D Earth, or the new Earth, as some people call it. And that's where we really should go. And once you get there, of course, negative emotions don't exist. I mean, everything is just love, peace, and happiness. And we have a long ways to go in our old Earth, our planet Earth, but we have to work hard at trying to get other people to take the first tentative step up the spiritual ladder and understand what we should be doing. And unfortunately, as I said, too many people just don't understand who they are. They think that other people are separate and that they should be judged for their clothing or their language or their color of their skin or whatever. That's just all very negative, and that feeds fear and hate and anger. And we have to sort of get those people to realize we're all in this together, and we came here for a purpose, and we should try to fulfill our purpose, even though we don't remember exactly why we came here. We know genuinely we came here to spread the light and have other people embrace love and compassion. And if we can do that, then we're going to have a much better planet to live on.
Absolutely. And we just have to remember who we are. We are divine beings of love and light. We all have God within us. And we are all miracle workers, yes? The only difference between miracle workers and those who are not is that the miracle workers know that they're miracle workers. That's pretty much it. After we leave the physical body, we're able to feel that connection in an instant. But for now, it feels like you're over there, I'm over here, and you're over, my dog's over there. But in reality, we are all one. Whatever we do to ourselves or another, it affects everyone. So let's remember that. That's the most important thing we could do right now to uplift the vibration of our beautiful planet. So Garnet, in your books, you describe the dialogue and astral travels you had with your spirit guide, Albert. What were his principal revelations for humans on planet Earth?
Well, his principal revelations were, most people who are spiritually enlightened already know these, but they were designed to go into my books for people who weren't spiritually enlightened. So basically, he answers, I used to, before I met him, I used to, when I was shaving in the morning, I'd look in the mirror and I'd think, who am I? Why am I here? What's my life purpose? And what happens to me when I die? And so I was looking for those answers. He gave me a very enlightened sort of a approach to what happens, is that we're here because we chose to come here. We prepared a life plan beforehand to try to learn and experience things that will help us with our evolution. He said that contrary to what a lot of religions say, is that when we die, we all go back to the spirit side. There's no judgment, there's no hell. And so that gives people a lot of comfort to know that, okay, I mean, I'm going to make mistakes here on this planet, but I'm not going to be punished for it. And when I get back to the spirit side, then I can freely choose, do I want to come back and incarnate again on planet Earth, or go somewhere else, or stay in the spirit side. So that's very, very comforting. He also said that the role of the creator is much different than what a lot of religions say. I was raised as a Roman Catholic, and I know exactly what they told me as a child. And I've long since rejected that. But he said the God, the source, does not manipulate events on earth, doesn't make rules for us to follow, contrary to what religious holy men have been telling us for centuries. And so there's no way, no matter what we do here on this planet, we can't offend the source or risk being punished, because there is no punishment. And so that to me is just a major divergence from what a lot of religions have been teaching us for centuries. And so that was I mean, it's very simplistic. Everyone here already knows that, but his goal was to get me to write books so that people who aren't aware of that would get some comfort in that and hopefully change their lives.
Now, Garnet, you also encountered Jesus on the other side. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, as you can imagine, he's master. I mean, he's a very wise, compassionate soul. He chose to come to Earth because he felt at that stage that humanity needed sort of a kick in the pants to get them moving up the spiritual ladder. So he came here to help humanity, so he wanted to gather people around him to get his message out. The miracles that the Bible ascribes to him, he actually did do that. And he says it's not really miracles. He says everyone on the spirit side can do those things. So if you want to walk on water or turn water into wine or whatever, he learned how to do that by focusing his thoughts, because thoughts are very powerful beams of energy. And the more focused you are, the more things you can manipulate. And so he learned to do that. He did those things to gather a lot of people to follow him. And his message was very simple. Nothing new about this. It is to love your fellow man as you love yourself, and treat others as you'd like to be treated. And that's just a very basic message. What he did say was that he was a bit upset at how the Christian church had sort of evolved after he passed and was crucified, and that they went off track in a lot of places. And that's just human men trying to manipulate things and set up things so they have power and control over the people. So he was happy that a lot of people are adhering to his message. He was unhappy that somehow a lot of his message got off track. But he just said, well, that's life. That's how humans are. That is going to happen with humanity. But he was happy with some of the good aspects of the church that he founded. He's just an amazing man. And I said to him, did you ever think about coming back and incarnating on a planet again? He said he has thought about it.
Okay, thank you. So Patricia, what does it mean to be a multi-dimensional being expressing unity consciousness?
Well, we are multi-dimensional beings, and one of the things that the beings of light keep reflecting, we're all connected, even though we don't have a conscious awareness of it, with all the multi-dimensional facets of ourselves. And all of these magnificent shifts and changes that are taking place, they begin in the realms of cause when we create the templates and the thought forms for our invocations, our prayers, our meditations. And then we magnetize them through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings into the physical plane. And they move through the various levels of consciousness. And then the physical plane, the beings of light said, is actually the least real of all of the dimensions that we abide in. And it is the very last dimension to reflect these changes. So when this light comes in, it pushes to the surface everything that conflicts with this light. And this is occurring for every single person on the planet. The problem is that because we've forgotten who we are, we don't remember that we are actually our I am presence and this multidimensional being. We look at the outer world through our physical senses and determine that that's what's real and that's what's true. So this is where that concept of connecting immediately with the highest aspect of ourselves by saying, I am my I am presence, not I want to be or I look forward to someday being, but rather commanding it here and now because that's what's true. And that I am one with that aspect of divinity with every other person. We then have the ability to multidimensionally project into the physical plane the highest level of love-based evolutionary unity consciousness that we want to manifest in the outer world, rather than this fear-based, fragmented, us against them separation and duality consciousness. And it's happening. One of the encouraging things I'd like to just share is that we're going through a unique experience at this time that's referred to as the shift of the ages. And probably many people have heard about that or heard the concept of that. And the beings of light have said that this is a unique moment in time that happens every so many millions of years, when cycles within cycles within cycles throughout the whole of creation dovetail into the cosmic rhythmic heartbeat with our Father, Mother, God, the I am, all that is. And during that moment, our godparents inbreathe all creation up the spiral of evolution to the next level of our learning experience. So we have completed it through the initial impulse of the shift of the ages. And what is happening now is that we are ascending up the spiral of evolution into higher, more rarefied fifth dimensional frequencies of the new Earth, which we are co-creating as we move forward. And the reality is that, just as Garnett mentioned, is that between embodiments, we have a choice of moving into higher realms or coming back into embodiment. But this time, what is different is that we are all here to co-create the process of moving in up the spiral of evolution into a higher reality. So we are going through this ascension process that we all can do individually. But the difference is that we are taking the earth, humanity, and all life with us. So when we talk about, as we've been mentioning, the earth is a tangible living being, that means every particle and wave of life, every subatomic facet of energy has a divine intelligence and is alive and is created from the very heart of God. So every facet of life, every electron that we've ever misqualified through all time frames and dimensions that is reflecting in the outer world as the pain and suffering and pollution and hatred and negativity, every bit of that energy is returning now. And if we could think of everything negative that's happening in the outer world is this electronic light substance, our life force coming back as a battered, beaten child that we have misqualified, that we are now being asked to love free into the light, we will realize that everything through this collective consciousness, every facet of negativity, we're not just saying cancel and trying to eliminate or trying to raise above it and leave all the garbage below. We're literally transfiguring every electron of misqualified energy through all time frames and dimensions back into light taking it back into our hearts, back into the heart of Mother Earth, so that all life is moving forward into the frequencies of the new heaven and the new earth that we are now co-creating.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Peggy, did you want to add anything to that?
I'd like to add, one of the things the team speaks about is as awakened beings, recognizing who we are as an aspect of the divine consciousness as we move about in our life. At social gatherings, now that they're happening again, and walking on the street, as we pass one another, interface with one another, we stimulate, we quicken, we activate other people's codes to awaken. So you can be doing your tasks, shopping, out and about, and know that you're touching another individual's energy field and just touching it gently and says, wake up, you're a divine being. Now, they have free will, and many times they'll just hit the snooze button. But the fact is down the road in another hour or so, they'll connect with another awakened being and they'll get triggered again. And eventually, through this process, we're assisting others in waking up just because of who we are, aware of who we are as our divine essence. We're touching each individual to wake up. And one of the things that I love, and I say often in my day, is grateful I am for this. Grateful I am to be on this panel. Grateful I am to be healthy. Acknowledging who I am as a divine being and being grateful for that. So we can all shift how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to the collective, the realms of truth, recognizing that we're here in this game. The team calls this a hologame, to transform it. We're here to transform all the negative energy we encounter. And so I really appreciate everything that everyone is saying. And it's such an honor to know personally for myself, any work that I do, walking in the street, being in the store, is making a difference, is making a conscious difference. Often I'll go into the grocery store and I'll just say to the divine, please take my gratitude to every single person that had anything to do with these vegetables and this produce and products being here. And then in my inner vision, in my eye, in my inner self, I actually see an angel or a being of light embracing the farmer in his field, or the truck driver that's driving the products. And so we can all consciously do those kind of simple actions each day that's going to truly make a difference and support this evolution that's taking place on our planet.
Absolutely. Each one of us can make a difference. Right? We raise the vibration of the planet by raising our own vibration. Thank you so much. And Garnet, I love to ask you, you've been on my radio show a number of times, and I love to ask you these questions, but you've also encountered life on other planets. Can you tell us about that as well? I know that's a big topic, but.
Yeah, I've had a number of astral trips with my spirit guide to other planets where there's life forms. And there was interesting enough, there was one of the questions I asked him was, are there human civilizations on other planets besides Earth? And he said, absolutely. So he took me to see a couple of them. I'll just give you a summary of a couple of the interesting ones. One was quite a modern society. It was a totally matriarchal society. It was ruled entirely by women. And the men had no say in the politics. They couldn't have any positions of authority or anything. So the women ran it. They ran it very, very well. And they didn't always agree, but they managed to resolve their conflicts in a peaceful manner. So the planet was running very, very smoothly, and the men didn't have any problems with that because they had very low testosterone levels resulting from the chemical sterilization of all males at the age of 3. so that they didn't have any testosterone. So the males were all compliant and deferential. They just went about their business. They didn't have any responsibilities to do. But it was amazing how the planet was running very smoothly, run by women. And so that was a bit of an eye opener for me. And then he took me to another planet where men and women, it was very modern society, where they had learned how to travel between the stars. There, the men and women were very equal. It was a very egalitarian society. And they had they had learned a long time ago that the genes, or that the propensity for people to have negative emotions and cause crime and conflicts and wars and so on, was a defective gene in the human body. Their scientists learned how to modify that, get rid of it over a period of time, so they had no negative emotions. They had a very egalitarian society and a very happy society. And Albert showed me that to show me not necessarily that we should move to a matriarchal society, but the preferential was a happy medium, where this modern society, where the men and women were truly equal in every respect, and they got along just fine. And so that's really where he's just saying, look, at what's happening on planet Earth, that doesn't have to be that way. We can change. Those societies and those other planets did in fact change for a better way. I mean, certainly in the matriarchal society, certainly much better for women. And that planet had been a very, before how they found out, how they converted was that a woman had a vision and a dream where they were told that if there's a plant in the forest, you feed that to the men, it drops their testosterone level way down. So they did that. That's how they converted themselves. Before that, they were a very patriarchal society where women were abused, and they changed all that. So it just shows you that there's different ways of doing things. Where we're mired now doesn't have to be that way. We can change if we decide to do it and work towards it.
So that's amazing. But if we think of Earth, I mean, there's a vast universe. To think that we're the only planet with life, life as we know it, perhaps, but life, there are other, of course, many, many planets, hundreds, thousands, millions of planets that have life, but different types of life, not the type that we know of. But we are one with them as well. So when we understand we're one with everyone and everything, that includes humans, animals, nature, beings from other dimensions, and so forth, descended masters, angels, and so forth. So thank you for sharing, Garnet.
You're welcome.
So, okay, Patricia, how can one person really make a difference in a world that's so complicated?
Well, I think that's part of what I shared with you about connecting with every person's I am presence, that we are really powerful beyond our knowing, and that when we make that shift from the microcosm to the macrocosm by connecting with every person's I am presence, we literally hold that entire collective of God beings in a force field of light as we're invoking that light. So the exponential effect of that light, there's so much negativity. People think, how can we possibly make a difference when there's so much negativity? The encouraging thing that the beings of light have consistently said to us, and are saying now more than ever, is that the number of people on this planet who are awakening and invoking the light is legion. We don't get printed in the outer world. We're not on the media. We don't hear the news, but there are literally millions and millions of people around this world who are consciously invoking the light through their own life experiences, love-based energy, and also on behalf of their sisters and brothers, consciously realizing that. And light is infinitely more powerful than the fragmented fear-based consciousness. What's happening in the outer world is that the manipulation, the literal enslavement codes and patterns that we fell to from our fall from grace, which is just a moment in time when we started using our creative faculties of thought and feeling in ways that weren't based in love. That fall into denser and denser frequencies disconnected us from our I am presence, from the realms of illumined truth. So we started feeling that our physical body is all that exists, is who we are, and the physical plane is all that exists. We started thinking that our purpose and reason for being was gratifying the physical senses, whatever we needed to do that, to lie, cheat, steal, kill was perfectly okay. And that distorted consciousness also then projected into our delusion, the fact that we thought the earth is an inanimate object that we can use and abuse at will. And so it's created all the havoc. So what is happening now is the reversal of that. And this consciousness is coming to the fore, being pushed to the surface to be transmuted. But there's a level of that consciousness and even a level of the fallen human ego that knows that the God self is coming into command and control. So it is clinging, doing everything it can. And the way it does that is by creating hate, creating fear, creating the other, us consciousness of the other, so that we will do battle with each other instead of everything that we're talking about on this panel today. But that energy is a minuscule fraction compared to the power of light flowing into the planet. The reason it looks like more is because it's coming up at the negativity is coming up at a greatly accelerated pace. And we're transmuting everything that's ever been misqualified through all time frames and dimensions for eons of time since our fall from grace. So again, invoking the light, we are powerful beyond our knowing, and all of the things that everybody on the panel is talking about, just by invoking the light and working with that, we are literally succeeding beyond the greatest expectations of heaven in this transfiguration back into a higher realm of light.
Beautiful. And I have a question for you. What about the pandemic? What do the beings of light say about that? What can we do? Why did it show up?
Okay, we don't have a lot of reasons why, but I'll tell you what, which is really interesting. The beings of light, even the negativity that comes up, the beings of light can utilize for the highest good. For instance, when there's an outer world catastrophe, the open heart of compassion and love from everybody, holding that space of love and compassion for everybody on the earth experiencing that, or during a war or something. The beings of light can gather up that compassion and that love and utilize it. At the beginning of this new decade, in January of 2020, the beings of light said, we are moving into a decade, and during this decade that we are going to be able to change the course of history for humanity, and that it was going to be done through a process of awakening humanity, working in collaboration with the company of heaven. And they said, working in collaboration with the company of heaven in ways that have never before been attempted. And then we had no idea what that meant. And within a few weeks, we started experiencing the pandemic that caused a forced timeout globally. Never in the history of the world had that happened, that the entire planet had to just stop and just be. And it created the space for the I am presence of every person to integrate in new ways, without all the clatter and activity in the outer world. And even, and I shouldn't say even, I should say especially, the essential workers and the medical people and the people that had to still sustain us. Humanity in mass opened our hearts in compassion and love for those people, recognizing how interdependent we are and how these people that we've just taken for granted, cleaning people, janitors, people who collect the garbage, farm workers, getting the food to us, all of these things, in addition to all the medical things, that these people that sustain us, that we need them. We opened our heart, literally cracking our hearts open in ways of compassion and love for them. And that has caused incredibly positive shifts. And people all over the world, light workers all over the world, are learning now to communicate as we are today through Zoom and through the internet in ways that we can connect and share our messages in ways that we hadn't been before. It's always been available, but we didn't realize how prevalent it could be and how obvious. So people all over the world are really bringing in this light. Because of this incredible positive thing, then of course that fragmented lower consciousness that's trying with tooth and nail to maintain control and power is now fighting tooth and nail, creating all this divisiveness about choices and medical treatment and schooling and masks and all of that. It's all part of the garbage to keep us separated. The choices should be individual. We should go within our heart, not conspiracy theories and all of the things that are being used to manipulate us, but asking our I am presence, what is the highest good? And for those that are taking the vaccines, we know that our physical body is just that, a physical body. We are multidimensional beings, and we certainly have the ability to invoke the light. And as we take the vaccines, and I encourage this with people of any medications that are necessary and that they need to take, God is working through the doctors as well, that we just ask our intelligence in our body to absorb the highest good in alignment with our divine plan, and just allow that to flow through our body as pure light, rather than this awful thing, oh, this is doing horrible things to me, or this is going to cause all these bad side effects or whatever. Do the opposite, transcend it and transfigure it into a force of light that your body can absorb only the highest good from.
Perfectly said. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And Peggy, how about your morning messages? Did you get anything about the pandemic? Did they discuss any of that?
One of the things that they have said, that because it put a stop on everything on our planet, everyone paused for a moment. They stopped their activities, they stopped their social life. I mean, I didn't see my family for a year and a half, and I know that was pretty common for a lot of individuals. That we had to go within. We had to pause for a minute, which gave our I am self, our divine self, an opportunity to speak to us in a way that maybe we've never paused enough to listen to. And the thing that's so important that the team continues to remind everyone is everyone has their own team. Everyone has their own guides that come with them into this dimension, and they can be in touch and want to be in touch. So those that are listening to this presentation, know that you have a support, know that you have beings that want to work with you, and invite them. Invite them in ways and simply say, send me your guidance as many times as you need to, in as many ways as you need to, until you know I have received it. And in that statement, what you're going to do is you're going to begin to hear your own team come to you, divine beings speaking to you. You're opening the door for that so that you're the inviter, but you're also an alchemist. And like Patricia was saying, we're here to be the alchemist, to transform all energy, whether it's the vaccination, whether it's the attitude, whether it's prejudice. We're here to transform it, to be the alchemist within our own self and consciousness that allows us to transform whatever we encounter, however we encounter it. And so that's important to know. We have our own team. We can call upon divine beings to join us, to guide us, to support us, whether it's writing the book we want to write, playing the music we want to play, presenting in whatever creative endeavor that we have. We have that kind of divine support, and we can invoke it and invite it more fully in our life and affairs.
Yes, thank you. And for the listeners who are listening right now, they're saying, well, I'm sure that's good for all of you on the panel, but not for me. I'm not able to receive messages from, the angels. And I assure you, everyone is able to. You just have to set the intention and then be patient and wait. and receive the messages. The messages, most people expect to hear a voice, an audible voice, or to see an apparition. But when I receive messages, it comes as telepathically, as thoughts that just pop in my mind. Or they give me what I call without a doubt signs to let me know they're with me. Sometimes they come in a dream. So you just ask your loved ones, ask the angels, ask ascended masters to come to you. And then ask for the signs, ask for them to come to you in a dream and wake you up after the dream so you remember it. I assure you, you can do it. We all can. And that's the best part of all of this. We're just trying to,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're meant to be in partnership with the divine. We're meant to be in partnership with the angels, with the beings of light.
But closing words for each one of you, think of one sentence. What would you say, Garnet?
Albert told me that above all, that I should not take life so seriously. He said, you're here on an adventure. You're here to grow and evolve. And it doesn't matter how many wrong turns you make or how many mistakes you make, you're always going to end up back on the spirit side. So enjoy your trip, try to learn from it, and try to spread the love.
Beautiful. Patricia?
Well, as we were just saying, our communication with our I am presence and the beings of light often is coming as an intuitive inner knowing. So those aha moments and those ideas, we're actually communicating with them all the time. We just haven't recognized it to be such. So start paying attention.
Thank you. And Peggy?
I like to say is, I am a peace commanding presence.
Thank you all so much. You are all amazing. And I'd like to end with a short message that I channeled from Wayne Dyer after his passing, which is incorporated in my book, We Consciousness. And here it is. I asked Wayne, please help us to understand concept 11, which states at any particular time, the dominant vibration of the mass consciousness strongly affects what is happening in the world. And he replied, those who remember they are one with all must step forward to remind those who have forgotten. As more people begin to recall their connection to others and live in a more positive way, the vibration of the entire planet will be raised and peace will dominate the world.
So I really have to admit that I'm super happy and very excited to have this privilege to introduce you all to Dr. Jacqueline Hobbs, also known as Oracle Girl. Welcome, Jacqueline.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to doing this, and we're going to have a great chat today.
Yeah, and you know, you are really such a unique being here on this earth in this time. I really would love that you introduce yourself, who you are and what you offer for us in this special unique time of transition and change we are all in.
I offer an embodiment of really what this summit is all about, that oneness. A signal that when you come into contact with it, you will start to embody more of the essence of who you truly are. And it has a lot of different names. I always say really that oneness is pure love. But essentially, I'm here to help people to find themselves again in this new time, and to realize that there really is only one thing, and that is love itself.
Yeah, wonderful. And Jacqueline, maybe you can also help us, because there are a lot of, I would say, there is a lot of intellectual understanding on concepts around oneness, and maybe people had different, you could say, maybe mystical experiences of oneness. And can you maybe give us a bit a hint how to differentiate these different levels of our understanding, what oneness truly is?
Well, oneness is either there or it isn't. You can't make it. You know, it's something that genuinely starts to turn up, either with or in yourself or in the presence of others, because there is genuine care and self-witnessing and the freedom for everyone to be just exactly the way they are. And it's not something you can put conditions on, and it's not something you can travel towards. And that's why everybody talks about it, because they are mystified by it, because it has its own rules and nobody knows what they are, but they certainly know when it's not there. And so we have a host of teachings, books, and literatures about the mystery that it is. And we even think that it's a mystical state because in its absence, it's something that seems to elude us. But actually, it's just something that's there when it is. And when it isn't, it isn't.
Yeah. That's touching something really deep in me, because would you say that when or maybe when there is a longing where we notice that kind of we can be really different than we are maybe acting in our daily life, how can we, what does this offer to us, or where can this lead us? Do you know what I mean?
I do. When you have that longing, you're actually resonating at the level of the slave self, but you don't necessarily realize it. You're perhaps confined in a frequency where that thing that you're looking for, that runs through all existence, that you know is there, has not shown up for you and has eluded you. And the slave self actually shuts that out. It confines you to a way of being where you don't experience it and you can't find it. And actually, that frequency is nothing to do with you. It's something that has been introduced on the planet, and everybody has been forced into actually going along with it. And what's wonderful is that now we can start to re-experience all of our authenticity and our passion, because we've outgrown that frequency. We're also actually refusing to go along with it. And the times themselves, which are nothing but the true essence of ourselves, are demanding that we resonate all the time in oneness with ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this kind of also would clarify that when we try to find oneness by accessing the faculties which the slave self has, mainly the mind and concepts, then we will not find it.
Yes, you always fail. And then you have to become part of a spiritual search, and you have to sign up for concepts and images, because what you're looking for is already absent. And of course, if it's absent, you'll never be able to find it, because you only find something when you already are it and it's present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. And maybe you can also say a little bit more about the slave self. I mean, that can make maybe people who hear it for the first time make quite curious. So maybe share a little bit more about it.
Yes, it sounds strange, but strangely, it also resonates with people when they first hear it, if it's the first time. The slave self is actually an image of you, and an image is always partial. But an image can be very enticing, especially if it's introduced to you with certain benefits. Let me give you an example. You know, if you're shown an image of yourself on a TV screen as being really well and healthy and abundant, and all you've got to do is X, Y, and Z, you can then be very enticed into going along with the suggestions of that image. And before you know it, you are one with that image. And then you are actually confined by it and a slave to it, unless you are very strong and you are able to reconcile the frequency of that image in the enormity and the whole presence of your personal field. So the slave self is what you become when you take on an image or a partial representation of yourself that comes up inside or outside. It might come up inside in the nature of a thought that's highly persuasive, or it might come up outside through a teaching spiritually, through an advertisement that we see in the media, through a political ideology or an economic theory of reality. And what happens is that the strength and the potency of that image is so appealing to us in some way or form, and that will be personal to each individual, that we override our own personal sovereignty and we give ourselves into that. And before we know it, we then become something other than our full selves. And the slave self is actually a technology. It's not just an innocent process that happens while we perhaps fall in love with our own reflection in a mirror, or we join up with others and find something favorable about ourselves and forego the rest that we don't even realize is there. It's a little bit more deliberate than that. It is a technology on this planet which has been introduced to shape people's minds. And it's based on an understanding originally of nature and how that works. And then it's been used in certain ways to produce certain outcomes. And behind the science of images, as I like to call it, which has produced the slave self, there is a particular type of force or agency which wishes to appropriate the resources of humankind to conform to certain agendas or to play out certain actions so that the results can be observed, and also so that people's love, their affection, their energy, their skills and their talents can be used to benefit others, which of course the majority of us want to happen. We want to benefit others. We are very caring and sharing individuals, but sometimes there can be other agendas there that we don't even know about.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm aware that you have many events already about this topic. If people are interested to go deeper with it, there is a lot on in your library. But maybe just here, how can we really drop then deeper into our true essence when this frequency is running, and I guess we are very used to it because this operates already since I don't know how long. So
Yes.
What supports us in not following that frequency, but really aligning with our pure love and true nature?
You have to come across another physical marker of the embodiment of that frequency in your own reality. And then your whole being starts to realign with the integrity of your own self. I always give the analogy of tuning forks. Some will have heard this before. One note is struck, and then the other tuning fork actually starts to ring at the same note because it picks it up, and then they both strengthen together. There you've got an amazing picture of independence and togetherness, healthy interdependency without reliance or control. And that oscillation between two poles, where each pole is separately and very clearly defined, nevertheless forming one note, that is oneness. And so oneness is not this kind of peachy idea of everybody getting along together in truth, peace, and harmony. Actually, it's a very testing process when you assert your individuality in togetherness and really deeply enter into communion with that one note that you both produce. It's an experience of deep surrender. It can be quite uncomfortable because you don't know where it's going to take you. You can fear that you're going to hurt or upset someone else by truly being yourself while desperately wanting to have the other person included because you like and respect and want to honor them so much. That's the nature of the human condition. So actually, oneness becomes a process of fierce authenticity and belonging. There's a passion to it, but there can also be a healthy degree of risk and fear and even feeling out of control in a very good way, because you are opening yourself up to all of existence, all of yourself, all of everything and everyone else as well. without necessarily saying the way it should be. It's the difference between a concept and a state that you head for, and throwing the parameters out the window and being open to whatever will happen, while very, very strictly being true to yourself and exactly what is going on in that moment, which is very, very defined. We have bodies, and our bodies tell us exactly when we are and we are not comfortable.
Mhm. Yeah, and when I follow your words and kind of see how my system responds to it, I really get that the unknown, really being open to the unknown, seems to be really also a crucial part in it. And the image also which came is because you mentioned these notes, it's more like also in an orchestra where you are kind of, you really value your different instruments, you know, kind of you keep your instrument clean and pure and the others the same. And then we improvise and we kind of, we tune into something bigger than we are and then be part of an improvised piece of music. This is just kind of how I perceive it, and it's not so easy to put it in words, but it goes in this direction.
Well, I think you're doing quite well. I mean, the people in the orchestra, yes, they tune into each other, but we are not the orchestra, and we're not even the conductor who's in charge of the orchestra. We're the space in which all of that takes place. And we have a duty to hold the space of our own being in relation to everything that's going on with that orchestra and that conductor, and see what happens as we place ourselves in proximity with that and watch and experience what is produced as a result. And so you started your sentence there by saying, it's interesting as I follow that and tune in. What's even more interesting is what simply happens as the being called Purya follows the words and tunes in. You are the enormity and the vastness of all of existence as it unfolds. And that's pure love itself. That's where the oneness is. And you can't substitute that experience for a code or a practice or a dogma about what should happen, or even a definition of what that is. It's a body value, which actually you hold in place through the integrity of your own being by answering to yourself and being very deeply truthful about what's going on for you in relation to the conductor and the orchestra and what's playing, while being fully aware that you're all of that as well.
Yeah, this is what I got. When I heard your words, I felt really this expansion, and kind of as I would look from inside out, from outside in, from different angles. So I would say I was more aware of these different aspects of what I am, and yeah, this multidimensionality became much more tangible. And I want to name it because maybe people who are listening maybe can also sense that already happening by just being in your proximity and following this conversation.
That's the joy of existence. We love to dine out on all of the beautiful details. And that expansion that you're describing, which is also a solidification and a self-defining and a self and other defining, will always be present there. You feel more yourself, more secure and at one with who you are, at the same time as being more at one with everything that is going on. It's both. And that has nothing to do with an image of oneness or a definition which will say the way that that is, or the way that should be, or the way that it will be. That will always be partial and something that we can play with as well as part of the joy of dining out afterwards on the experience. But that all comes after the fact. It's not the starting place. And that is the issue that we have today with all of the images in our society which talk about oneness, but are nothing to do with oneness.
Yeah, and what's also so beautiful is that I also noticed that when I'm like that, I totally feel connected with everything. I'm everything. And there is, maybe you can talk to that, because so many people are longing for this feeling really connected and for
Sure.
community. And yeah.
Yes. We are already connected. And when that feeling comes up that you're not, and that longing starts to happen, that's actually the immensity and the enormity of your own purity spontaneously transmuting the aspect of yourself that believes that you are not one. There's no searching or seeking going on in that equation. It doesn't even arise. It's not necessary, because you are simultaneously lost and found in the dynamic of experiencing an aspect of existence in your own reality that feels that oneness may have eluded them or disappeared. And there's room for both. There's no conflict. We can be lost and we can be found. And those things can take place in us at the same time, around us, and that still be our connectedness. At the frequency of pure love, there is nothing but oneness, and we are already a part of each other, at the same time as being highly individuated and one essential, recognizable identity. And that leads us then to be able to discern and make amazing choices about our world, because we come across other representations and also images of oneness, which may seem very sweet and very amazing on the surface because they look and feel so good. But actually, when we start to notice what happens to us in our own body field around those suggestions and those images, which is all an image is, it's just a suggestion, we find ourselves maybe losing touch with ourselves, not able to have personal sovereignty even over our body, not even able to feel ourselves anymore because it feels so blissful. Well, bliss is wonderful, but if you can't feel yourself, you don't know where that bliss is going. You certainly are not in healthy control of what's going on. And you also can't feel what's behind that image and what its intention might be, positive or negative. And there are actually many seemingly healthy images of oneness in the world right now that talk about us all being together, us all having a life where we share everything and everything's green and squeaky clean. But actually they're quite sinister in their agenda, and they seek to divorce human beings from the fact of the oneness that they have already and bring them into a type of existence where they no longer have control over their own bodies and their lives.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I repeat myself, but on this point, could you also give us a differentiation when we would really know when we follow this true oneness or the image?
Because there is no space to choose. You are not given the choice. And you always have choice. There will be pressure to do something which hasn't naturally arisen inside yourself. Or there will be pressure within to make a certain decision before you've actually caught up with your own body signaling system that says yes in your own language, in your own way. You won't be given the space to go through that process. Now, I know that there are many situations in life where there is urgency, where you have to decide. But even so, you will have permission to decide. And that decision will come from your own self as an equal match to what is going on around you. Otherwise, the oneness is lost and it becomes a dominance and it becomes a taking over and it becomes a negative form of control. If something is really right for you that someone else knows or sees, or at the moment you don't see and is more deeply underneath, what is more deeply underneath, which is the oneness of reality, will come up under that pressure to show you, you will register it, and you will be able to match in exactly the same way what is being communicated to you around you. It's where you are being forced to actually comply with an image rather than the process of your own being, which is informed by nature and the oneness of all reality, that you have a problem. And the signs are you won't be able to feel yourself, or you will be able to feel all of yourself and nothing of the other. It's always both. You can register both parties, and there is that expansion that you just described that you had, to be able then to be clear about what's right, whether previously you knew or not. It's self and other, and there is no sacrifice on either side.
Mhm. And you mentioned the word care previously a little bit, and maybe you can expand on that, because I would say when we are in that, then true care is only really possible.
Yes, the bond of affection that runs through this universe is almost like a contract of love between us, our future and our present selves. And we will naturally have that deep care in us when oneness is present. That is another sign that we are firmly in our own setting, and we are in our own positive power, and we are acting in alignment with integrity, truth, purity, and nature's principles. Care will not be absent. Care will be shown towards us by others. And it's very easy to discern when someone doesn't care and they are just telling you to do it. Care is a natural corollary of oneness, because everything and everyone is being taken into consideration. And it is immediately evident from the inside out that there would be a losing of connection, of personal power, of love and truth and beauty, if we were to venture into an arena where there was a lack of care. So care is actually a currency. It builds, and we move out of it into ever more amazing self-nurturing and other nurturing forms of reality. That's how we build community. It comes out of a deep care for others and ourselves. And that care will naturally already be there. That's how you know it's the right direction to go in and you're in the right circumstance, making the right decision. Because if that isn't there, the juice is not in the movement anymore, and it feels compromised or stuck or sluggish, and our body will tell us. Or we have a kind of fear, not the fear which is actually quite good for us, which pushes us beyond our comfort zone and our limits and makes us take on more of the truth of ourselves, but that fear that goes, but we're going to lose a certain type of freedom which is intrinsically right and pure and correct for all beings, we're going to experience the destruction of something or the physical harm of someone that is unnecessary. Care is always there showing up. And if it's absent, there may be a course correct to do.
Mhm. Yeah, and I sense there might be really very different and unique ways of expressing our care. This is one thing I notice, and the other is that we might really
at the moment, that over and over again, because we are being asked in the name of care to do things that don't necessarily care or bring more care.
Yeah.
And so it is an internal inquiry now over where the real oneness actually lies in everyone doing the same thing, seemingly for the suggestion of a correct reason. Or is the marker of that deep in our very being, a voice that cries out and goes, this is right, or this is wrong? That voice of oneness inside us is incredibly loud, passionate, and dynamic, and it shows itself in a multitude of forms, all of which we can celebrate. That care that's fundamental to that voicing is something that we get to prescribe, each and every single human being. It is in the hands of the one, and then it becomes part of the manifestation of the many.
I just want to pause a little bit because it's really very rich what you say, and that it really kind of, I feel I want to make myself so big to that it has space and reaches me everywhere.
It's here. Oneness is here right now. And all you have to do is feel it. This is it.
Yeah.
Job done. No years of inquiry, practicing, thinking, investigating, teaching, learning. A marker can turn up in your reality of that quality. And then your whole life simply readjusts and realigns around that marker in your own being. That's who I am.
So lovely, Jacqueline. And it's also interesting because when my system is vibrating in your words, in this frequency, in this natural state of being, an image I receive, and maybe you can clarify that, but the sense in me is that as if there wouldn't run blood through my body, vessels filled with blood, but what I get is like a light golden fluid moving through my system. And I don't know where this sense comes from, but this is, yeah, what arises in this frequency. And can you maybe say something to that?
You're having a direct experience of what gets called by me the gold frequency. That is the actual physical frequency where we are all joined together already. It's the essence of humanity.
Mhm. Yeah. And I also notice when I really am aware of that, I see it also like threads between us and like a net which connects all different expressions of manifestation.
Yes, it's the human internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except to define ourselves as an internet would be severely limiting. That's the least of what it is, but it's a good analogy.
Yeah. And Jacqueline, as the subtitle of the summit also introduces us into becoming a universal self. So how you say it in English? I'm looking for the word. It implies kind of becoming something else in the future. And my sense is when we go with something, we would not really respect or recognize that we are the oneness already. And maybe you can speak to that.
If it's already here, why would anybody need to become something, especially a universal self? Who wants to be a universal self? I mean, look at some of the definitions of universal self out there. Permanent bliss. How boring. Continual peace. Self-absorption in all that is. These definitions are straitjackets on your reality. What about the juice of life? What about the sadness and the disappointment, which will be excluded from that reality and that you won't necessarily even allow yourself to have in preference for that image of perfection? Where is all of life, which actually can quite freely come and go through the vista of your own experience and not be very much of a problem unless you hold on to it and make it bad or wrong? Why do we need to hold up in front of ourselves a prescription for how things could or need to be when reality itself is so deep and so rich and will never bring us any harm or problem if we don't identify with any one aspect of it and try to make it our own? This is all the mechanism of the slave self, trying to become a universal self. And it's the realm of concept, image, doctrine, political ideology, science, religion, spirituality. And those things now are being made to dance to a different tune. They must become servants to oneness rather than trying to say and make people into the oneness that they've lost touch with.
Yeah. Yeah. This might be a relief to some people watching this, or maybe for some really creating turmoil because it turns your world upside down. And yeah.
That actually is the purification of that image and that false sense of self, that slave self, through the wide expanse of your own oneness. It's what we're here to do. To register all of reality and all of the potential experiences of our own oneness that we can have, rather than preferencing just one of them and trying to make the whole world like that.
Yeah, and maybe kind of I'm aware of the time and we are coming a bit to an end, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to introduce what you call dreaming, because my sense is that when really more people really understand this dreaming, maybe this can also support us in our time right now. Can you speak that a little bit?
We are beings of love, and that means that we are dreamers. I don't mean dreaming about something that's not there, that isn't possible, or dreaming while you're asleep. Dreaming is the spontaneous generation of pure love in this reality, and all the things we do and experience at that level of frequency. And in that frequency, all of the world reconciles itself back into that true oneness that we all are shaped by and that we all embody in truth as ourselves. Dreaming happens when our frequency reaches a certain level and we start to seed new realities with the intensity of our desire to go even further than the perfection of the one moment of ourselves that we're experiencing, that we know will never belong to us and never has been us and never will be us. It is the leap into the infinity of existence, even deeper, which already exists as the reality of our own selves. And that is a creativity, it is a drama, it is a beauty, and it is a tragedy. It is all of existence as it unfolds, mutates, and changes, which we have absolutely no control over. We are the dream. And what's happening right now is that you are aligning in your own being through your own source connection with the reality of that to whatever extent it is correct and right for you. That's a fundamental act of purity, and that's what you're here to do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. This was really very rich, and I'm aware that we kind of could only touch on certain topics, but as I mentioned already, you have really a lot available on your website. Maybe you can say to our audience how to find you and how best to continue if they feel really called to go deeper.
Everyone is welcome and everyone is included. My website is oraclegirl.org. You can just put Oracle Girl into your search engine. And what will come up is an invitation for you to drop everything and just go back to yourself. Explore the pages, and if it's right for you, just get started with the reboot group on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody joining us, taking your time and being open to receive what we were sharing here. And of course, Jacqueline, I'm so happy that you made space in your schedule and made yourself available to participate in this year's Global Oneness Summit. So deeply thank you to you.
This has made me very happy today. Thanks very much.
We're co-creating. My being cannot be taken away by your being. You're adding, interweaving. Your being cannot be taken away by my being. They're rising, realizing. Their being cannot be taken away by our being. We're rising, self-realizing. Our being cannot be taken away by our being. Peace is achieved the moment we choose to be at peace with the fact that external circumstance is a map an internal process projected from lack. Wait a minute, step back. How do we have peace when we're under attack? Quite simply, we choose peace. Hold up, what are you saying? This is life or death that you're playing. That's one choice, I choose peace. Peace is a choice, a mental invoice. It represents perception embedded with joy. The senses show us direct message reflection. The mirror image of self, our most holy connection. Would you like to assess your state of peace? Look about and see what you perceive. Here now need not be changed but extended. Contentment with present can be never ended. Incidentally, let's address the mental beliefs, the ones that cloud our ascent to peace. We're sent in peace, not in conflict. Being is guaranteed, no thing can stop it. God is by definition all of ourself. To think that God is separate from us is hell. But hell is but a mental state, a choice that we can recreate. So set it straight, shed the weight, and meditate. Because by asking, we're co-creating. My being cannot be taken away by your being. You're adding, interweaving. Your being cannot be taken away by my being. They're rising, realizing. Their being cannot be taken away by our being. We're rising, self-realizing. Our being cannot be taken away by our being. So let's be in peace. We don't need to wait. We don't need to force external circumstance. We don't need to make demands of change. We simply must be at peace. It's a choice to choose now. Eternally now. Be at peace. Make that choice. Be at peace. And watch your external circumstance unfold.
A very warm welcome to the Global Oneness Summit. And today it's my joy and my honor to speak to John de Ruyter. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Nice to be with you again.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those who don't know John yet, he is a philosopher based in Canada, in Edmonton. And he used to travel all over the world to offer space for people to meet him. And now it's not possible to travel so much. We all know this. It's so great that we can also see John now online a lot in Zoom meetings. And what is really special about John and why I introduce you to him is he helps us really to not only realize our deeper truth and what we will be after we have died, but he also helps us to really find in practical ways tools and inner attitudes, how to really live that in our day-to-day life. And this is why I really love being with you, John. And maybe first of all, you could share about what is really needed in order to embody our awakenings, because I assume that many people who are watching this series already maybe had openings into what we call oneness or our true nature, our deeper levels. And most of us really then find out that it's a challenge to always come from that frequency, from that reality. And so I would love you to share what supports us in really embody that deeper knowing we have.
By being our deepest heart, instead of being our lives, our personalities, ourselves. It's not just being in the heart, but quietly within, gentled and quieted in our deepest heart. That makes us the same as what we really are.
And John, how do we sense or how do we notice what the deepest heart is?
Through a deep, fundamental inner quietude where all inner dialogue falls away. What remains is an openness and a softness of heart. Our original beingness, a fundamental level of beingness, not conditioned by our experiences, ourselves, our lives, everything that we've learned.
Yeah, and when I just follow that while I'm listening to you, and I just want to mention and invite everybody, just really move with what you hear, what John shares, is that I notice an expansion and spaciousness, a softness, and I would also say a quality of innocence.
And the innocence is it's an innocence of not taking oneself to heart. If you're not taking yourself to heart and you're just gentled and quieted in your heart, that is your return to innocence. It's the lack of self-involvement.
So what I notice is that somehow awareness seems to drop deeper inside, away from the head, away from past, from future, from meta, I would say, and really like falling into a depth, I would call it. And can you speak about that, what it is when we relax and let us fall into that inner depth?
When awareness on its own, without the help of the personality, the self, just simply relaxes. Awareness relaxed is pure. Awareness taken up into the life here on the surface. Awareness taken up by itself, its personality, concerns of the self, concerns of the life, makes awareness disquieted, not relaxed, not the real within. Authenticity of awareness is awareness relaxed all on its own, regardless of anything else that's occurring on the inside in the self or on the outside in life.
And as life really just now in this time can be quite challenging, some would call it maybe difficult, what supports us, or what helps us in being able to come to such a profound relaxation?
By valuing what is fundamental and what matters the most. It isn't our lives that matters the most. It isn't ourselves that matters the most. It's what we first are, what we really are. That everything of ours is dependent on. The real depth of inner well-being doesn't come from ourselves. It doesn't come from our minds. It doesn't come from our experiences, our lives. It doesn't come from others. It comes from being what we really are. As that is what we are being in ourselves, in our lives, in our relationships. Everything comes into a natural balance. It's achieved from the inside out, not from the outside in.
Yeah, and it's so contrary to what the world kind of is screaming to us. And yeah, maybe you can just address that a little bit, because what we learn in schools, what we read in books, also many, I would say, self-development courses, they just they just say the opposite, and that doing and the outside world is so important. And just maybe help us to into this movement of turning really into this inner knowledge of what is really true and meaningful.
Without dwelling from within what is like our inner garden, we will always do so that we can be. Change ourselves so that we can feel better. Change our behavior with others so that we're more accepted, so that we can feel better, so that others can feel better about ourselves. If we're residing within the inner garden, that naturally expresses itself out into the surface. If what we are coming from is the deep, the original realness within, that manifests in ourselves. Instead of working on ourselves and changing ourselves, if we return to what we really are and we be that in ourselves, ourselves becomes the same.
And I mean, John, I just noticed that when I really practice, and practice is not really a good word, but when I really follow that movement and what really feels meaningful, I notice that life in a way becomes much simpler. I'm less interested in so much. I'm more drawn really into a very simple way of living. And would you say this is kind of quite common, or is this dependent on the personality you are? Maybe just share a bit about this quality of feeling drawn into the simplicity.
It's natural to awareness relaxed. And as soon as you have to do something with yourself or your mind or your body so that you can relax. That's a doing to be. Authentic relaxation isn't dependent on the condition of anything. So it doesn't require change. It requires only you relaxed. Where it's easy to see is in the innocence of a small child. It doesn't understand cognitively the truth of anything. It just inherently knows. So the beauty within that innocence, before they leave what they really are, performing for their sense of self and performing for others, they are like an inner garden, naturally expressing on the outside. They're not doing anything to achieve that. It flows out of them naturally. As soon as they start to perform for a belief, perform for themselves, perform for others, they start to lose their innocence. The more that it's gone, the more they'll depend on doing something so that they can feel okay. But that's not what they came from. It isn't what they were like in their innocence.
So would you then say, John, that when we sense kind of pressure or tension in our life, our system, is this feedback that we are not really coming from this frequency of being?
Yes. As soon as there's any kind of inner dialogue, inner stress conversation, as soon as there's irritation inside, frustration, annoyance with anything or anyone, that's feedback that you're not being what you really are. Our natural state as awareness is that of peace and love. If that's what we're being, that's what fills ourselves and fills our lives. If that's not what we are being, then we will do something with ourselves and do something with our lives so that we can feel that love, that inner well-being, so that we can feel okay. That puts us on performance, which isn't real.
And John, when we notice that we might have judged, or that we are tense, or that we are in this inner dialogue, how to be with that when we notice it?
Instead of working with what we perceive is our problem, first, just unconditionally relaxing, unconditionally opening and softening at any personal expense. So the openness and softness isn't done for a result in ourselves or a result on the surface. It's a response to open and soften because that's the truth we honestly know within, and not connecting it to a result or gaining a return, which makes it authentic.
although when we are that, it might feel good in ourselves.
It does.
Mm.
And you see that in the innocence of a small child. It's happy without a reason.
Yeah.
What you see in the child is real all on its own. And it naturally flows to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I really can sense that I can drop deeper into that. And I just want to remind everybody who is now watching this conversation, maybe really open to that quality, which is so tangible right now. Don't try to get it just in your mind, really just relax into that. And John, I really also want to speak about, I heard you often share about this special opportunity when we are in difficulty. And as the time we are in right now, many people would say we face a lot of difficulty. What is the unique opportunity in difficulty for our evolution?
If we are gentled and quieted in our hearts in the midst of difficulty, then our resource that we're using to be in the difficulty isn't going to be thoughts, feelings, will, emotion, relationships, others. The resource is what we're already drawing from. And that's that fundamental beingness within. The real resource is openness and softness of heart. The real resource within is love. If it's that which we are being, the greater the difficulty that we are in, the more deeply we naturally draw from what we really are. So the greater the difficulty, the deeper the love that comes into ourselves, that naturally flows out into the surface. So in that way, difficulty moves us into love. It moves us into what we're already presently coming from. If we're already separated from our innocence, closing and hardening just because of difficulty, then difficulty will make you more tight, more hard, more closed, more on performance. Difficulty will bring out what you're already being within. The beauty of that is that it gives you feedback. Difficulty in that way tells you, it shows you what you are being. And you either go into self-justification and self-rationalization, or honesty can hear the feedback and knows to just soften.
Yeah, and I just noticed when I really follow what you just shared so beautifully, I wouldn't even maybe use the word difficulty for a situation.
If you're oriented to what you really are, your orientation isn't to ease or difficulty. You are just in flow, whether there's ease or whether there's difficulty, and it doesn't actually make a difference to you.
Yeah, and what now just comes up again is that you called it our inner garden. And I would like you to share how can we as humanity, not just as individuals, grow our own individual garden? And I guess it really starts with that, really growing our inner individual garden. But how can we support us in really growing a large, big garden for humanity?
By giving value to something that we all know, and that is ourselves. The self matters more than the personality. So then let it matter more. And the heart matters more than the self. So let that matter more. And our deepest heart matters more than all of it. That makes us right side up. Instead of existing upside down and using our surface resources to try to feel right side up. Fundamental relaxation occurs simply and naturally. When we lie down to go to sleep, our day, our past, our personality, ourselves, it all naturally diminishes and falls away, and what remains is what we really are. It isn't a doing. We don't have that in mind to let go of all of that. As we near the tipping point to sleep, this just naturally occurs because it is what we first are. So being the real is actually as simple as lying down and going to sleep. With that fundamental relaxation, everything turns right side up. And then we be that way within, in the midst of all of ourselves, our whole life, and in every relationship.
And John, maybe I don't want to leave you without addressing the opportunity we have when we are here in this lifetime, because you could say that we realize what we are, what we were before we came into this body. And some would maybe ask themselves, when we are dead, why coming into this life? Can you maybe share a bit about this opportunity of our evolution and growth, especially when we are in form, on this earth, in all this difficulty and all these distractions we are facing?
The opportunity of being in a body is to be what we really are within environments that are not like that. The personality, the self, the mind, the emotions, feelings, the will is not the same as you, but it is what you have to express the real. If you're being the real, it's going to show in your surface bodies. If you take yourself seriously, you take yourself to heart, then you will be that self instead of the real. The manifestation of that, the experience of that is tension filled. It isn't fundamentally nurturing because it is a doing to be.
Thank you so much, John. And if people who are now joining us in this conversation feel a depth and a truth resonating in them, how can they continue to be with you and to go deeper?
By opening and softening unconditionally at any personal expense.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. And on a practical level, you can just check out John's website, johndereuter.com. John offers Zoom meetings all over the year, so where you can kind of really also have a personal interaction with John, and where you also can witness how John is bringing forth the depth in people and really this connecting in such a deep, profound, pure intimacy. I would say really from the deepest place to the deepest place. And yeah, just check it out, and maybe you want to join one of these meetings. And of course, I also want to wish you a great inspiration in the other conversations in the Global Oneness Summit. Thank you for checking in and watching this conversation with John de Reuter. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Peria. Bye for now. See you later.
Bye. Bye.